This question was, I had an original question in mind when I first asked, and then I heard Sarah's comments.
Yep.
Because I am that token male in that group.
Yeah.
And sometimes...
Which have only just got there, not because of the group, but because of Mary, right?
Absolutely. Mary
Exactly.
introduced. Yeah,
Exactly.
Mary introduced.
So let's get it right. It's not the attraction of the group that caused that to happen.
Right.
It's your interaction with Mary that helped that happen.
And
Correct.
with the group.
And I go into the group quite often,
Yep.
and I present vulnerability.
Yeah.
And but I also struggle with my worth,
Yep.
my self-worth. So that's my biggest challenge.
Yep.
And what I was going to ask you from the spiritual side, like the sin of self-worth, right?
Yeah.
It's a big
Of holding on to a lack of worth.
holding on to a lack of worth, because
Yeah.
I see it
Yeah.
in how I engage in life.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, there's a very simple cause,
yeah,
and it's all to do with generally being like treated badly as a child with regard to your worth,
yeah,
and then feeling that you don't want to recognize how badly.
right,
And so you just act in your worth from there on.
yeah.
Yep. Very simple cause, but what was your question?
I think it was just more deconstructing a little bit the worth in relation to sin and the impacts.
Well,
But-
if we look at it as a spiritual concept first, so this
Yeah.
is important to understand. The spiritual concept is God created you as the pinnacle of his creation.
Yeah,
You are the pinnacle of your creation.
yeah, yeah,
If you don't feel that, you're sinning.
yes. Understood.
Does that make sense?
And I've been getting that very recently
Yeah,
with just some of the stuff that I've been feeling.
that's right. And the sin is going to be against yourself, obviously, so it's going to
Yeah.
be painful
Yeah,
because it's against yourself.
yeah,
But you are the pinnacle of God's creation, so act like it.
right.
And also work through the emotions that cause you to not act like it. Now, those will be to do with approval, acceptance,
Yeah,
like needing other people to approve of you, needing other people to accept you, needing other people to love you. These are grief. It's grief
yeah,
associated with those feelings that you're unwilling to feel. So instead, what you do is you present yourself with low self-worth so people can feel superior to you.
correct. That's what happens. Yeah,
Yep. And so then when they feel superior to you, they treat you better,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
But it's a fake treatment, isn't it?
And
100%.
what's it doing? Can you
To
see how
them.
you're engendering sin in them as well?
Correct.
You're encouraging their superiority.
Yes.
And that is, and by doing that, you're encouraging them to believe they're better than you.
Yeah,
And so you're basically saying, we're not equal.
yeah,
And you're encouraging them to believe you're not equal to them.
correct.
Yeah. And so that then has the ability with a monster who believes he's already not, superior, creates a heightened sense in him that he is even more superior
Yeah,
than you.
yeah,
Yep. And obviously that's not a good thing because the monster becomes more of a monster
yeah.
in that process.
And I do the same with men too.
Correct? Women and men.
Because with men, I've always found that the world is just ultra competitive,
It is.
and it's
All competing with their daddies, right?
they're all competing, right?
Yeah.
And I've I don't know. I think it's kind of almost like it's, why are we competing? Like that's one of my questions.
Yeah, crazy, really, isn't it?
But
Exhausting.
Exhausting.
so then
Yep.
but then I realize that most men that I meet are in that mode.
Correct.
And so, and again, what I found is there was a Zen thing I learned years ago that was just like, you got to go underneath. And to me, for some reason, I felt like that was all, and I thought that was a good thing at the time, but it's not a good thing.
No.
Or
Well, you're avoiding them attacking you at some point and belittling you, and
100%.
these are feelings you don't want to feel. But if
Yeah.
I can not go too much into your personal
fair
issue,
enough. Yeah.
let's focus on the fact it's a spiritual problem first, isn't
Yes.
it? And if I understood how bad a problem it was spiritually,
Yeah.
can you see you'd be more motivated to deal with it?
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. If I understood that if I'm breaking this spiritual law of equality,
Yeah.
which is actually a part of the law of love,
Yes.
then I'm having a major impact on my life and the life of all the men around me and women around me
Yeah.
by treating them as if they are superior to me.
Yeah.
And I am, by holding on to this feeling, because I'm scared of confrontation,
Yeah.
I'm scared of ridicule, I'm scared of perhaps even abuse
Yeah.
from these people.
Yeah.
If I'm scared of that and using that as an excuse, then what I'm doing spiritually is creating a very bad problem with every person I interact with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed that just in various ways.
Yep.
But one is sometimes it's just very hard to connect with people. A lot of times it's just very hard to connect.
Well, of course, because they are treating you as if you're inferior.
Yeah, yeah,
Of course, they're only going to use you for whatever they can gain more superiority for.
yeah, yeah,
And of course, it's going to be hard to connect on a proper level,
yes,
isn't it?
yeah,
Yep. So there's going to be heaps of results. You could say they are the effects of the sin.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And this is a part of becoming aware, going, I thought that me putting myself down is a good thing for relationships.
yeah,
Like many people even think that's humility,
yes, yes,
right? It's not humble to believe you're not the pinnacle of God's creation. That's not humble. Humble is accepting God's truth about you,
yeah,
not accepting your ideas about you,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
So humble is accepting God's ideas about you.
yeah,
Now, to be humble, I would then have to accept I am the pinnacle of God's creation every time I act like I'm not,
yeah,
every time I act like I'm unequal. Of course, everybody else here is the pinnacle of God's creation too, right?
yeah,
And every time I act like I'm not equal to them, I am breaking that very big law governing love, which is to do with equality. And it's going to have some major detrimental effects in my life, right across the board, in my relationships with my partner, with my friends, with work colleagues, with my life and what I choose to do. I'm going to feel like I need to latch on to people who are superior in order to have work and all this kind of stuff. There's all sorts of results that have come from that. And so you could say all of these physical things and emotional things happening are really the result of one big spiritual problem,
yes,
which is I don't treat myself as equal.
yeah,
And if I had dealt with the equality, if I let myself go through the emotions of why I'm scared to be equal, why I'm frightened to be equal, then all of those problems in my life would all just
Well, if you
disappear. They're
even-
effects, right?
It's good to imagine, isn't it? If I change this one spiritual problem, what would the benefits be emotionally, sexually, and physically?
Yes.
Because given the principle that Jesus has been teaching, that spiritual change is going to positively impact everything lower in the hierarchy, isn't it?
Yep.
And it's easy to see, isn't it? If you think about, even just imagine it, if
Yeah.
I treated myself as equal, how would that change
Everything.
all the areas of my life?
Yeah. Emotionally, it's going to change every interaction with every person. Sexually, it's going to change your interactions with your attraction is opposite gender, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's going to change your interactions with women.
Yeah.
You know, and because a lot of women do like men who put themselves down.
yes,
And they feel sexually attracted to a man who puts themselves down. And then other women don't like a man who puts himself down all the time because he's exhausting
Yeah.
to deal with. And so they want a man who's superior. And so they're going to be totally
yeah,
like uninterested, as you've experienced, right? and then there's going to be physical results, like in your life with work and interactions with other people with work and other things like
Even
you won't
your
create
body.
for yourself.
A lot of the weight you're holding
The
on
weight
to is
you're holding on
about
to.
this as well.
Everything.
absolutely,
Yeah.
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 So the spiritual problem
yeah,
is creating this sort of, remember the diagram is like
yeah,
the seemingly
One little
small
thing.
spiritual problem,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but it's huge, right?
It's huge, yeah.
From God's perspective, it's one of the core principles of life on earth is equality, right? So it's huge from God's perspective, but that seemingly innocent spiritual problem, which you've been taught to believe is actually a humility,
yeah,
right, is actually creating this huge labyrinth of creations around you, all creating your unhappiness.
And I've been seeing that on so many different levels right now.
Yep, but unwilling to change the
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
You'd
not
have
yet
to say
awakened. Yeah,
aware, but not awake.
awakened.
I understand.
Yeah, not aware, but not awakened.
yes,
Yeah, so you're aware. You even come up to us, didn't you, privately, and said, "This is my big problem."
yeah,
You can see it's a big problem, so you are aware,
yeah,
but not yet awakened. Because when you're awakened, you actually go through the process of repentance for that sin
Yeah.
and working through, like if you repent for the sin, God can help you with the cause, which is all to do with your fear of violence, your fear of being attacked, your fear of being ridiculed, your fear of being put down, condescension, fear of condescension. God can help you with why you have those fears
Yeah.
and why you act in harmony
Yeah.
with those fears.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good illustration of the problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you awaken, you will have a completely different feeling.
And
Yep.
can we say, you know, at the moment you feel like, oh, I'm quite aware of this in many areas. In that process of awakening, you realize, holy wow.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is everywhere. This is driving
This is
a
like
lot
my
of things.
whole life up
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
now. How old are you now, Kevin?
60. Just
60.
60.
Yeah. So 60 years of my life driven by this one thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had the same problem to deal with worthiness issues,
Yeah.
and honestly, it's taken me a long time to deal with it,
Yeah.
and to become aware to the point of awakening to deal with it. Even now, I am, and this is why with the groups I've become a lot more firm with the way I handle bad behaviour
Yes.
and so forth. It's all part of the process of that. No, I'm giving you my time for free. This is my space. If you don't want to be here, get lost. But you're treating me well, right? Otherwise,
And
that kind of thing, right?
And I won't get into it too much, but I watch in my work life and things how people use and abuse me
Yeah,
for that,
yeah.
the whatever I call it.
But you
kindness,
still
but,
watch it, but you still don't change it.
but I don't change it right now.
Yeah, because you're afraid of changing it and what that might mean for your life. You think at the moment it sort of mean that, oh, you'll get attacked more and you'll get ridiculed more and you'll get condescended to more and all the things you don't want.
Yeah.
But actually it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
People develop more respect for you
Yeah.
and therefore they condescend to you less,
Yes.
not more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I thought the same. But yeah, it's not like that at all. People even will even if they hate your guts, they'll have a grudging respect.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I've got some people who dislike me intensely who still donate to me.
Sure. Sure.
Isn't that weird? But they do. They respect me enough to know that my intentions are pure and my desires are pure, and they'll still donate even though they don't like me personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it just shows you what happens when you obey the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. So hopefully from that small discussion, you can see the difference between one state and the other, right? And, you know, obviously we've got to talk more about it so we understand that a bit more. But sometimes the best way of understanding is to actually do it. Right? And this is like, you imagine you were 2 years old and you haven't yet walked, right? And it's already a bit delayed, isn't it? If it's 2, usually that happens when you're 1 or a bit after 1 maybe. So you're 2 years old, and by this stage you're able to reason, and your mum and dad sit you down and show, they do diagrams about how to walk, and they give you all this theory about how to walk. And
So walking's going to be really
walking's
good.
going to be really good for you. You just go ahead and walk, and you know, they give you all this G up and encouragement to walk, and they do all these other things. And you decide, if you could do such a thing, you decide, no, I'm not going to do that.
I need to hear a bit more.
I need to hear a bit more. I need to understand it better. I need to understand the whole movement of it all. I need to understand how my muscles are firing. I need to understand, you know, you can go into the nitty gritty of something, can't you, so much and still not do it, right? You are better off just taking this information and just going in and doing it, at least in one area of your life. And if you recognize a big area like you have, Kevin, choose that one and go, I'm doing it on that one. Because that what I've personally found is the biggest feelings you have the biggest effects. So if you change the biggest feeling, it's going to have the biggest change to all the effects. So it's economical to deal with the worst thing first, if you can. Whatever you recognize right now as the worst thing, deal with that first. That makes sense? Whatever is going to be the hardest thing, deal with that first. It's going to have the largest change in your life. Most people don't do that, of course, because they're saying, oh, but I need to nurse myself, you know, through the process. It's like the child saying, but I need to maybe crawl a bit longer. Yeah, yeah. And I need to maybe crawl, and then let's try not walking, but doing it on my knees for a while. right? Let's try that instead, you know. Now, the child doesn't do that, does it? It looks at adults walking around and it says, I can do that. You know? So you need to get to a stage where you can look at a person who has some self-esteem and go, I can do that. I can do that now. I can try it now. I'm going to maybe fall over a few times so the child, you know, stands up, you know, holding onto the bed or the whatever, wobbling around a bit, right? And it's still doing it, isn't it? It's a bit wobbly, and who knows what's going to happen. And as a parent, you're looking at it going, ugh, like, what now is going to happen now? Like, and the child's going, I'm still doing it. And parents going, ah, and the child's going, oh, I'm walking, bang, I'm walking, bang, cry, get up again, walking, bang, cry, walking. It felt its emotion every time it failed, got up again, and then it's like stairs. How many? You remember the first time you saw your child trying to walk down some or up some stairs? It's like, what's going to happen now? Like to this child, and he's going, "Well, Mum and Dad, I've seen them do it, so it can be done. I'm doing it," and off he goes, right? And this is the approach we need to have with our problems. The same sort of approach. I'm going to give it a go. Yeah. If I give it a go and I'm persistent, just like I was as a child when I learnt how to walk, I'm going to have maybe some failures, who knows, but I'll get there in the end. Yeah? Do you want
I was going to say, like, a lot that I have really worked on experimenting in my life, like as you would call it in the teachings. Like I would take things and I'd say, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Try it out.
And I'm going to try it. And I've done that in so many areas.
Except
this. Right? Yeah. And
it's the areas that are most painful that you want to not experiment.
Yeah. And I feel that I'm working on it. But
no, you're not.
All right.
No, you're not. Let's be honest. You're living in it.
Yeah.
You're living in it.
Yeah.
You're living in the reality of the unworthiness. You talk to everybody and you say, yeah, I know I'm unworthy, but you still live in it.
Fair enough.
Right? So you've got to look at why you're so resistive to actually dealing with it when you know, in your aware state, you know it's a problem. Yeah. You're not yet awakened to how big a problem. Yeah. Because, you haven't seen how big a problem it is with your interaction with people. Yeah. You haven't seen how you're creating monsters in them by doing it as well. You haven't seen it's linked to the equality issue, the spiritual principle. You haven't seen that yet. Yeah. You don't see it like a spiritual principle being like squashed in your life, right? You haven't seen it like that. And you need to change it. You need to see how big the spiritual principle is. But to say to yourself, I'm getting there. No, you're not. Yeah. Let's be honest. Yeah. It hasn't changed. So this is where you got to be careful. Just don't convince yourself something's changed when it hasn't. And then look at your fears and your terrors as to why you haven't. Yeah. When you know it's a problem. Sure. Because that's why you do it. Yeah. It's your fears and your terrors that you're unwilling to experience is the reason why it's happening. Yeah. That makes sense? Yeah. And you have been unwilling to feel what they are. Yeah. Because that's what hurts, going through those. Yeah. You've been unwilling to feel what they are, the fears that drive the behaviour. Yeah. You follow? Yeah. Now, I've had to do that. Mm-hmm. And, many of you have seen, I get attacked a lot from the media and all sorts of people all around the world. Mary and I, in our office account, it's rare to get a nice comment, Yeah. It's usually, one after the other of attack and abuse and whatever. We get death threats all the time. Mary gets rape threats all the time. Yeah. These are the kind of reasons why the average person doesn't want to do it. Yeah. Because they're going to get threatened and abused and all sorts of things will happen, right? Yeah. Yep. And at some point you got to say, me doing the spiritually right thing is worth all of that. And that is all their fault. That's not my fault. Yeah. That's all their problem, not my problem. Yeah. And if I don't feel that, then I need to feel the feeling so I do feel that eventually. Yeah. I need to get to that point of realization, right? Mm-hmm. So everyone who is used to you feeling unworthy is going to hate it. Yeah. Every single one. Yeah. Your ex-partner, your all your business relationships.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to be peed off with it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And that's why you're not doing it.
And that's the fear.
That's the fear.
Yeah.
Right? But you also don't know that if you do it, you'll attract a whole heap of people who do believe in equality.
Yes.
And you will attract good friends
Yeah.
and good people who actually do think you are just as worthy as they are, who do think they are equal to you.
Yeah.
You'll attract them too. See, at this stage, the whole belief system, the whole sin saying, there's none of those people on earth, right?
Yeah.
Because all I've ever experienced is everyone putting me down, everyone condescending to me, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. So one thing you'll start to experience is people who actually respect you,
Yes.
people who actually care about you and who actually think that what you've got to say or the contributions you make to society are valid.
Yeah.
You'll attract all that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You probably even have your own business eventually, rather than building up the businesses of others, making them successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And not your own life.
Yeah.
Yep. Your ex-partner's not going to like it because she's used to you being.
That's why she also picked me, because she had different types of relationships with other men before, right?
Correct.
So, yeah.
Yeah, let's find, all the other men have been abusive, so let's find a man I can abuse.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's find a man I can put down at least,
Yes.
which is abuse.
Yes.
I can treat him as if he's lesser than me,
Yeah.
which is abuse.
Yeah.
Right? And I can do that and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like that's the attraction.
Yeah.
So all these women who have treated you like you're not worth anything.
Yeah.
Like you know, if you deal with this thing, there's going to be different attractions. And at some point, this raises the issue, which is something we want to discuss with you at some future time, all of you at some future time, is how important it is to develop faith in what is right.
Yeah.
Right? At the moment, your faith is saying, but I'm going to get hurt, but I'm going to get, attacked. I'm going to get ridiculed. I'm going to be put down. And while some of that might be true, you're going to find actually that you'll be also respected. You'll find some kind people who actually care about you and care about your value and care about your contributions. And that will all be a part of happening as well. But see, the faith is tainted by the sin. The faith is saying, that can't be true. I have learnt through my childhood that wasn't true. I've learnt through my life 60 years it's not true. Right, so I don't believe that really, and that's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Your faith in doing the thing, and it's going to bring benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah. Good illustration of the point, though, huh?
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So this is what I'd like to remind each of you: is that just because you are aware, it doesn't mean something's going to change. You're aware is like, I know I'm in Falls Lake right now. That's where I'm at. What am I going to do to get to Montreal? To the state where I'm awake and I can repent for whatever sins so that I can be forgiven and so that I can experience God's love more, right? That this is going to be a journey that you're going to have to embrace ideas and concepts and change. You're going to have to work on faith. You're going to have to work on humility. You're going to have to work on your desire to love. You're going to have to work on your desire to take action in your life rather than just talk about it and never take any action, right? You're going to have to work on those things. You're going to have to love truth to get there. You need to know the direction you're taking. These things are important. You're going to have to do them. But the opening part of it all is becoming aware of the sin. Yeah. Yeah.
And did you want to talk about the feelings about feeling bad about yourself in relation to this scale?
Yeah. Feeling bad about yourself is a sin. Interesting. So the more you feel bad about yourself, so let's say you feel good about yourself here, the more you choose to stay feeling bad about yourself, can you see what's happening? The more you're going to sin. Right? And the reason, and you end up with more demands on people. You end up with wanting them to make you feel good. You end up with pushing them into trying to make you feel good. You engage things like sex and food and money and other things to find worth to make yourself feel good and so forth. And fundamentally, it's because we don't believe already that we're the pinnacle of God's creation. So it's important, and this has been something very difficult for me to deal with in this life, has been to stop myself from the addiction of feeling bad about myself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I've had to work my way through quite a lot of emotions to do that. A lot of it was driven by my fear of other people's attack. So I started seeing the relationship between me feeling bad about myself and the level of attack that other people want to. The more other people attack me, I had a tendency to then feel worse. Do you follow? Which means that they felt more encouraged to attack me. Can you see that? The worse I feel, if I'm the downside, I'm getting down on myself, down, down, down. This encourages the opposite, the people who are in the addiction of attacking others, to increase their attack. And I realised that I felt that if I made myself smaller, I thought that I would stop their attack. Can you see that? And there's this tendency of most of us to think that if we make ourselves smaller, we don't be our nature, we don't be our personality like we were talking about yesterday, we don't exercise our desires, we'll stop the attack because we're afraid of it. But what I found is when I felt my fear of other people's attack, I started having more worth towards myself, more feelings of positive towards myself, and I got attacked less. And I thought I was going to get attacked more. But I get attacked less. People often say to me, like, why aren't you in prison already? It's because I'm feeling better about myself. You follow? Yeah? I say a lot of things confronting to a lot of people. And very few people treat me badly now compared to what used to. Does that make sense? It used to be every single person I met. The worse I felt about myself, the more that was encouraged. The less I feel about myself. And I after a while, I understood the dynamic because God's feelings about it, you start to understand. And I started to see, by me feeling bad about myself, the opposite of the truth, right, I encouraged them to feel they were superior. And in them feeling superior to me, they felt greater. And in feeling greater, they felt they had more justification to make me feel worse. That makes sense? So I started to see the relationship between attack, my history of attack, first century memories about what happened to me many, many times, had an impact on me greatly in terms of having to deal with, the level of myself, putting down myself in order to control the attack. It's been a problem for our soul. Mary has done the same thing as well, putting herself down all the time, trying to avoid attack. And she's going through the same process I've been through, just learning not to do that, and how much that encourages bad spirits and bad people to attack you is quite marked. Yeah.
And it's important to understand the difference between just feeling the truth of your sin and feeling bad about yourself and holding on to that as a belief, a global belief about yourself. Yep. So, and sometimes people hold on to this idea, I'm just bad, to avoid the specifics of their sin. Yep. But sometimes it's exactly what Jesus is saying. A lot of times. That we just want to put ourselves down because we think everyone will get off our back then.
Yep. And that usually comes from a childhood of that happening, where people were on your back and you found and you learnt the lesson that if you put yourself down, before they attacked you, they generally didn't attack you as much, is the thinking. But all they did was get more control over you, unfortunately, because you put yourself down so much. Yeah?
You got more compliant with their will rather than discovering your own will and exploring and experimenting with your own will. So remember that humility, a lot of humility is being willing to emotionally give up your own beliefs and ideas about yourself in favour of God's.
Yep.
So, this part of the prayer is saying, I'm going to be humble to your opinion of who I am.
Rather than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many of you are carrying around bad feelings about yourself. God wants you to give them up. You're going to have to grieve some things, and you're also going to have to feel some fear. So what I've found is there's a lot of fear that causes a person fear because in their childhood, the attack caused you to feel that if you put yourself down, you'll get rewarded for putting yourself down. And the reward is no more attack, right? And so you put yourself down enough like that, you start feeling it becomes a part of your very psyche. It becomes a part of who you believe you are, a person with no power, no strength, no energy. Yeah, and you start acting like that as well in your life. You don't make decisions, you don't make choices, you don't go for things, you don't, create a life for yourself. You don't do all of those things as a result as well. And all of that often comes from this feeling that in your childhood, whenever you were trying to do something for yourself or were trying to grow in any way that was out of harmony with your parents or your upbringing, everyone attacked you, right? And put you down. So in the end, you learn to put yourself down to avoid it. Right? It's a learned behaviour.
And then, as you're saying, as you're trying to experience more of God's feelings about you, often there's fears come up because you feel, this is going to ramp up the attack.
It's going to make it unsafe again. My life's going to be more unsafe than it is now. So you feel very resistive to doing it. And so I found myself very resistive to having any positive feelings about myself. Mm-hmm. It makes sense? Yeah. And the more harsh the treatment as a child, probably the more resistive you're going to be. So some of it's just verbal, like pulling you down here and undermining you there and stuff like that. So that's enough. And that's verbal abuse. But for many of you, you've experienced actual abuse, physical violence, sexual violence in your childhood and other things like that. It's going to be harder because you're going to feel like, if I be myself more, all those people who abuse me to get me into that position are going to start attacking me again. Right? Yeah. So there's a lot of fear in it. I had to work through a lot of fear. I probably had a good solid 4 years of fear, actually, for a period of time before I met Mary, before I even had enough sense of worth to even think that I could even do things. It was before I even knew who I was. I went through a 7-year period of lots of fear, lots of terror, working through just even embracing my life, right? And when I met Mary, it ramped up again because Mary had a habit of attacking me when we first met, because she wasn't happy. Because I wanted the men
to make my fear go away.
Yeah,
and I was very afraid all of the time because of the other attack that was coming towards us.
Yeah, what happened was Mary wanted me to accede to pander to people who were attacking us.
That's what I was doing, and I wanted Jesus
unsafe.
to do it. Yeah.
And so then I had to deal with, even Mary wants to hammer me, and I had to even deal with that as well, like feel about that and work my way through having some sense of inner strength where I can go, no, Mary, you're wrong, without, feeling like I have to bow to the pressure. Yeah. So it's taken a fair while, and I'm still working on actually this issue of self, how you view yourself. Yeah. Every single person I met feels that I'm not sufficient enough to be Jesus, without exception. Actually, many of you when we first met felt exactly that, right? Many of you come to a seminar and you think, is this guy Jesus? Like, I feel that. Every single person I meet is like that. And some of you have changed with that over the years, just from experience or time or whatever. Many don't. Many after interacting with us feel more definite about it afterwards than before we met. Yeah, and so it's just a constant thing that I'm having to work my way through with all this projection that I'm not worthy enough all the time. So it's been a big thing for me, and for any of you who have this problem, you're going to find it's going to take some hard work, sincere work on your behalf to let yourself start to believe what God's trying to tell you. The interesting thing, though, is the more you receive His love, the more you'll feel it anyway. Yeah?
Then the love will cause you to feel like, I can't treat myself badly anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm afraid. And then there's the work to do on the fear.
Yeah. When I was in my 20s, my whole life was governed about serving people to my own detriment. I did it to the point of exhaustion. Every single day, I would come home absolutely hammered, and I spent every day trying to help somebody. All day, every day, trying to help somebody, and I used to come home absolutely like no energy at all in the end, just no strength, energy left, and then I would do it the next day. Yeah, had no concept of love of self at all. And really it's God's love that's helped me regain, and our closeness to our own soul that's helped me regain that love of self. That makes sense? Yep. Yeah. So, these are just feelings. They're all ant-emotions. Things to feel. And they'll help, if you recognise them, you'll grow greatly from them. This is why the prayer is so important, right? Because everything you read, you go, oh, gee, I have that too, and oh no. And then many of us, when we talk about sin, you're thinking it's the bad things you do to others. But actually, a lot of our sin is the bad things we do to ourselves. You understand? And one of the bad things we do to ourselves is treat ourselves as if we're worthless. Yeah, many of us do that. What do you think a smoker's doing when they're smoking? Aren't they saying, I'm worthy of death? I'm worthy of all this bad air in my lungs. I'm not worthy of clean air. There's a lot of sadness in that. Yeah, a lot of feelings of poor worth in that. When you have some worth, you won't feel like smoking anymore. You just won't. Right? There's a lot of these kind of feelings that are involved in a lot of things we do on earth. A person who overeats, same. Why would you overeat? It just makes you fat and unhealthy and unhappy and prone to heart disease and early death. Why would you do it? You've got to have some level of bad treatment of self involved, don't you? To do it. Yeah. So it's a lot of times you'll find that the relationship with God helps expose to you how badly you feel about yourself. Yeah. And when you work through it, come out the other end. Like I compare myself now and I go, wow, I was in such a mess. In my 20s, man. Just I look back at my early 30s now before I started making any change. And I go, if I had continued on that course that I was on, I would definitely be dead by now. Definitely be dead by now. I was so embroiled in this bad treatment of self, and man, it's just without these changes, I would have died from either bowel cancer, heart disease. I would have died from many things, potentially many things.
It's a long list.
I was overworking for people to get my worth, bowel cancer. I was sad all the time and trying to overcome my sadness by feeling good about myself, by trying to be loving to others, heart disease. I was feeding myself badly. Just from that, I possibly would have died. I used to drink 20 Cokes or 40 Cokes a week.
One for every work.
I would have died from... by the time I was 18, the doctor said I'm prone to pancreatic disease, right? Failure, right? So because of my addiction to sugar, just that one thing. I used to eat a 4-litre tub of ice cream in one sitting. I used to have 3 a week. Yeah? And by the way, it wasn't just ice cream, it was covered with...
caramel sauce or something.
Caramel. Yeah. Caramel syrup. And the amount of things I used to do, by the time I was 30, I was tubby, and getting fatter every year. As well. Just And my life, my personal life was a mess. I was not being honest with my partner. I was married at the time, wasn't being honest with her in the sense of saying, no, things are wrong here. She was doing a lot of things that I felt were wrong, but I wouldn't say anything about it. I'd just tolerate it. You know, I was embroiled in a religious faith that caused me to work and work and work and work and work. And I was thinking I was pleasing God doing that, you know, working so hard all the time. I didn't enjoy much of it. I was quite unhappy. I used to go behind our shed in the backyard and cry a lot. You know, I was pretty much a mess. I was 33. Yeah. So having a breakthrough emotionally helped me greatly. And then also having the breakthrough into, you know, wanting to have the relationship with God back helped me the most. Yeah. Make sense? Yeah. Time.
Yeah, it's time.
Yep. 2 minutes. So with regard to worth, many of us become attached to the concept that you're low in worth, rather than seeing that it's actually related to the other emotions that we do not wish to feel, which are more to do with fears we have. So a lot of people retain a sense of low self-worth because they don't want to deal with people's opinions. This was one of my problems. You know, by saying that I'm Jesus, I get a lot of bad opinions. Like millions of people's bad opinions all at once, frequently. Bad opinions of me as an individual. Now, of course, they don't know me, then they're just expressing their fears. But if I'm afraid of that, I could start going, well, I'm not worthy to be. I'm not, you know, I'm not good enough to be. Many of you have yet to accept who I am because you feel I'm not good enough to be Jesus. So that's indicative of the fact of how you view worth. I keep saying to you, I'm the same as you. I just happen to have 2,000, I've been alive 27 years now. I was born just at the beginning of the 2nd century before BC and in the 1st century. And since then I've been like you, learning and growing and changing, and all through the spirit life memories of all of my life in the spirit world. All of those things are just a part of my experience. It's not the same as yours. There's people who are like 10 times to, more than 10 times older than me almost in the spirit world, who've lived like 10 times longer, around eight times longer or so than me. And when I talk to them, it's fascinating. Imagine watching like 150, 170,000 years of human history and being observing it from a spirit perspective where you see everything. You know, there's a lot of knowledge they have about things you can hardly imagine, partially, you know, like just amazing depths of knowledge and experience, and it's fascinating talking to them. Like I'm fascinated talking to all of them because it's just like there's so many questions you can ask somebody about their experience, you know, and learn from their experience as well. What was it like then, and how was it like here, and what did you do there, and why, and you know, what was the society like, and what did you eat, and what kind of food was there, and what did the earth look like, and like the questions just go on and on and on and on. These people have huge amounts of experience, but they're no better than me, or worse than me. I'm just younger. I'm just younger than it by a significant amount. Right? But obviously, over thousands of years, you get to experience lots of different things. So obviously, compared to yourselves, my experience far exceeds yours in terms of my experience, but my potentialities and my design and everything is the same. And all I'm doing, sharing things with you, is You're just benefiting from some of my experiences that you've yet to have. Just like I've benefited from the experiences of others that I was yet to have. Particularly in my first incarnation, that was the case. I had lots of people helping me to understand truths that I didn't grasp until I learnt from others. Yeah. Same as you. So it's very important to understand that a lot of our personal issues about our concept of self actually revolve around our fears rather than revolve around our concept of self. They're about what we're afraid of. A lot of us learnt in our childhood to be afraid of violence. You know? How many of you were spanked as a child? Okay. So it's hardly, how many of you haven't been? That'd be interesting. A few. Wow. Like, that's, for me, in my childhood, that would have been unheard of. You know what I mean? Like,
What would be?
That somebody would be not spanked. Yeah. Like, every single child I ever knew growing up I grew up in the 60s, every single child that I knew had been spanked by their parents. There wasn't a single child who hadn't been, that I knew. Right? Now, if you grow up in that environment, naturally, you've got adults hitting children. That's like scary. If you're a child, that's scary. That's like, you've got these bigger people that are 2 to 3 times larger than you, and they're violent towards you. And not only violent in terms of physical, but they're also violent in terms of their feelings. Like, their feelings are violent. Like, they want to hit you. You know, they want to use violence as a method of control, and they want to hit you. And that's scary. For a child, that's a very scary thing. So as a child, you learn to lower your worth to cope with that environment, to not engage your will to cope with that environment, to pander to people and forget about yourself in that environment. You learn that. That's a natural part of what you learn. And that, so it's your fear of violence frequently that causes what you call a lack of worth. Right? But it's not anything else other than fear. And fear can be felt. So just because these problems exist, a lot of us then go, well, God's to blame for my lack of worth. Like, I was born into that family, God's to blame for that. God's to blame for my experience because they treated me badly, so God's to blame for that. And then on top of that, you sort of go, well, maybe I was sort of created like this, where I feel bad, where I feel lowly. Maybe that was my emotion, you know, that was my lot in life, you know, that was the luck of the draw type of thing. Even though it wasn't, but we start thinking that way. And that is also fundamentally blaming the design or God for the lack of it. Yeah. But I have found in my own experience that it's always come from humans.
Sure, Phil.
I have an attitude of unworthiness.
What's that?
Not very worthful. Unworthiness, like I'm not worth his time to bother him for, just like what Anton was stating yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's mostly how I feel also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is some of the more personal kind of feelings we have, isn't it?
Yeah. So worth. Let's.
Can you see that everything above this one has been a lot about God's design, the way God's going to respond on a sort of macro, global level.
Yeah.
Whereas then when we come to really feeling, okay, how do I feel this worth feeling? Like, why would God bother with me? That's more of an emotional feeling about the personal relationship.
Yeah. Again, a problem caused by upbringing for the most part. And so, again, in some ways we're sort of blaming God for the fact that we feel a lack of worth in a way. Because what we're doing is saying, but I feel so unworthy, I can't do it. I just can't get myself to ask God, because by asking God it means that I have to overcome this sort of feeling that, you know, a bad feeling about myself. I've got to overcome it enough to even ask, right? But in some ways, you can see you're sort of blaming God for the fact that you have the worth, because you're fundamentally saying, oh, God's going to be the same as what everybody else has treated me. So it's still maligning God's character, because we're not appreciating, in fact, and this is a problem I've had a lot to do with this problem of worth. Like, it's been a bad problem for me in this life. And I've come to see how addicted I was to actually keeping my worth low. And the main reason why I was, because I was afraid of people, if I started viewing myself as equal to them, how people would treat me after that, right? And a lot of people get real complicated when you start treating yourself as their equal, particularly men who have been in competitions with their fathers. You start treating them as if you're equal. Most men get in a huge rage about that. That's scary. And I realised I was pretty much frightened a lot of evil men, pretty much. And that was the main reason why I kept not viewing my worth very well. And once I worked through my fear, my worth issues started to improve. I started seeing myself as equal to everyone, even if they didn't think I was. Right? It's really interesting when you say you're Jesus to a group of people, right? Because the average person projects at you, you're not worthy to be.
So there's also a bit of fear in there?
And in them, certainly, but they project at you that you're the person that's to blame for their fears. And they project at you that you're saying you're better than them, which I'm not. Like, I keep saying to you guys, I'm the same, right? And many of you try to keep treating me as if I'm different. Like, many of you think I should know everything about you. And I go, well, do you know everything about me? Why should I know everything about you? That's not proof of whether I'm Jesus or not. That's just proof that I'm a human, just like you. Right? I shouldn't know everything about you unless I ask, and unless I probe into your thoughts, which sometimes I choose to do. But I don't feel inclined to do that with everybody. Imagine. Do you want to hear everybody's thoughts? A lot of their thoughts are like, a lot of your thoughts even, are like, ooh, pretty critical, ooh, pretty bad, ooh, pretty nasty there. And why do you want to hear them? A lot of times you don't want to hear them, so why, even if you could tune into them, do you want to? Probably not. You follow me? So, why if you're something's happening in your life, why do you think I should know whether it's happening? Do you know what's happening in mine? Unless you're right next to me experiencing it with me, you probably don't, right? Why would I worry about what's happening in yours, right? Like, of course, if you're experiencing pain and suffering, I'd like to help. But I can't help 7 billion people at once. Why? Because I'm a human. God can, but I can't. So I also had to come to terms with my own limitations. So sometimes with worth, we would like our limits to be further than they are. But for me, I found, yeah, I'm limited. I'm a limited being. I can do what I can do, and then beyond that, it's going to be difficult. Like, can you talk to a billion people at the same time? Generally, without some kind of apparatus, you can't, right? Unless you're on telly or something, you can't do it. So people say to me, why aren't you talking to everyone on earth? Well, I can't. I don't have a telly, control of a TV station that would let me talk to 1 million people at once. Now, hopefully in the future, somebody might come along and say, we'll give you control of the TV station and you can talk to 1 million people at once. And I go, I'll do that. That'd be great. I'm into that. But before then, it's not going to happen because I don't have enough money to create a TV station. I don't have enough resources to do it. I don't have enough thought or time to even bother with it. It's not my interest. I love sharing truth with people. And if somebody comes along and offers me a telly station to do it, I'll be there. But before then, I can't be. So people say to me, well, why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that? Well, there's a limit to my time. I'm a limited person just like you are, right? There's a limit to my time. I'm trying to teach you through my example, there's a limit to yours too. You can't do everything. You can only do what your priorities are, right? What are the major things you want to get achieved in your life? Do that. You know? So these are all learning lessons you've got to learn about. There's a link between limitations, worth, and modesty. Do you understand what I mean by that? So modesty is recognising your limits. I'm a human. I have limits. I keep teaching you that. You're a human. You have limits. You will become more unlimited the more you connect to God's love. But you're still going to have limits. You're not ever going to be God. God's unlimited. You're going to be limited. That's okay, isn't it? Right. I think it's okay. I'm okay with my limits. Right? Why would I not be? God created the perfect human with limits. If I'm not okay with that, then obviously I've got some issues with God about that. Right? I want to be God instead of a human. Right? And I don't want to be God. God's got enough to do, and I've got enough to do. And my limits are far worse than God's, so obviously, you know, I wouldn't want what God's got on God's plate. Of course God's happy with what God's got on God's plate. And I've got to learn to become happy with what I've got on mine. So that's a part of me recognising my limits. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So we are all the same in this regard. We all have these limitations. We are all limited in our scope, our abilities, and so forth. Now, there are some things we can educate ourselves and then improve our limits, isn't it? Like, if you're really bad at dancing, then if you really wanted to learn how to dance, you could become a better dancer, couldn't you? Because you have the ability to learn. This is one of the beautiful things that God's done, is created us with the ability to learn and the ability to be educated and then grow. So we can grow in our limits, but not beyond our original design features unless we receive something from God. That's the only way we can go beyond our original design features. Every person in the sixth year is a great dancer. They are. You go there, if you went there now, for many of you, you'd be sitting on the shelf there looking at them and saying, I'm not dancing. Because they're too good and I feel terribly self-conscious, right? Doing what they're doing. They're all good dancers. And every person in the celestial sphere is a good dancer, a good singer too, good musician, good artist. They do all these things really, really well, far better than most people on earth have ever conceived of doing. But every one of them can learn to do something better, because that's a part of growth and education. And as you receive more love from God, you've got this unlimited capacity to grow, and that's the beauty of it. So with regard to worth,